You were never supposed to question them. But when I shifted my view, Archangel Michael showed me the truth. But now. The moment it began, it was 3:33 a.m., the hour when heaven whispers and the veil between spirit and flesh thins. The world lay in silence, but your spirit stirred. Not with chaos, not with fear, but with a strange and holy awakening. In that stillness, something shifted. I bet. The air felt different. And whether your eyes were open or closed, you knew something had entered the room. A presence, a light, a divine signal. Archangel Michael stood in the silence, not loud, not hurry, but undeniable. His authority didn't need sound. It brought an awareness so weighty, it settled deep into your bones. A holy disruption. He came not just to speak, but to reveal. And with him came a message for you. You, the one who was told to sit down, to stay silent, to not question. You were raised to obey without clarity, taught to follow without insight, told that certain things were off limits, that if you asked too much, you were rebellious, that if you challenged tradition, you were dangerous. But beloved, what if not asking was the danger all along? Heaven is not afraid of your questions, only hell is. This message is coded. It is not for the lukewarm, not for the asleep, and not for those comfortable in the illusion. This message will not make sense to everyone, because not everyone is ready. But you are. You're ready because you've been through too much not to be. You've endured too much silence not to speak. You've swallowed too many lies not to hunger for truth. And now, the call comes to you. Be still. Be silent. Not because you're silenced, but because silence is the language of heaven. Stillness is the posture of the seeing ones. Surrender is the power of the awakened. You've been invited to see what most will never look for. You've been given access to mysteries hidden from the proud, but revealed to the humble. The hour is urgent. The time is short. The veil is thin. You are being drawn into the hidden things, and the only key that will open this next realm is obedience. So sit with the questioned. Refuse the noise. Wait for the whisper. For what is coming next is not for the curious. It is for the called. Type "I am anointed" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1122 is now activated. The atmosphere trembles. The veil parts. And Archangel Michael steps forward, not as a gentle suggestion, but as a divine interruption. His presence does not knock politely, it pierces. It does not ask for permission, it claims the space. There is no room for passivity here, no tolerance for delay. This moment has been ordained. He speaks, and his voice is not a sound but a summoning. In the next 72 hours, he declares, your sight will shift. Mark it down. Etch it in your spirit. Heaven is on a countdown, and it has everything to do with you. What you've accepted as normal is about to fracture. What you've tolerated in silence is about to be exposed. What they told you never to question is now the very thing heaven is demanding you confront. Because now, the divine interruption has begun. You feel it already. The petty, the unease, the stirring in your sleep, the sudden awareness that something just beyond your perception is unfolding. You are not imagining it. You are not exaggerating. This is the signal. Time is collapsing. Earthly time is unraveling because heavenly timing has taken precedence. And Archangel Michael has not arrived to comfort your confusion. He has come to confront it. He looks you in the spirit and speaks again. This message is only for the awakened ones, the called, not the comfortable, not the compliant, not those who fear conflict more than they fear compromise. No, this word is for the ones who feel the tension in their bones, for the ones who have been unable to shake the inner knowing, for the ones whose discernment has become too sharp to ignore. This is a summons, not a suggestion. You were never supposed to see what you're about to see. But you are no longer who you once were. You no longer walk with your head down and your spirit dulled. There's been a divine agitation in your life for weeks, perhaps months. You've been feeling people pulling away. You've noticed odd shifts in tone, strange avoidance, shallow smiles masking deep resistance. That's not in your imagination. It's in the spirit realm. Your spiritual sight is sharpening because heaven is illuminating deception. But here's the warning: doubt will blind you. If you begin to rationalize this moment, if you reach back for comfort, if you default to logic instead of listening, you will miss it. Doubt is the shadow that follows awakening. It whispers, what if you're wrong? Just as your spirit begins to open. It is your old self pleading to survive, even though your old self cannot cross into what's next. Michael issues another command. Stillness will reveal all. This is not a time to perform, not a time to explain yourself, not a time to defend your intuition. This is the hour of sacred observation. Sit in the silence. Watch the movements. Study the spiritual shift. Listen not with ears, but with your knower. Because in stillness, revelation comes not as a scream, but a whisper. Not as a flash, but a slow unveiling. The heavens are lining around your obedience. The angelic hosts are moving on coordinates written in your yes. The timing of heaven does not adjust to your comfort. It aligns with your surrender. Every delay you've experienced, every disappointment that confused you, every separation that stung, it was all preparing you for this. You are being repositioned for sight. And with sight comes accountability. You will never again be able to claim ignorance. You will never again be able to pretend you didn't know. Once your vision shifts, there is no going back to blindness. That's why this word isn't for everyone. Some still prefer the comfort of closed eyes. Some would rather stay asleep than face the burden of sight. But not you. Because you have felt the pull. You have sensed the storm. You had heard the whisper. You have seen too much to remain passive. Michael declares it again, louder this time. You're no longer allowed to ignore what's been whispered. The whispers have been growing louder. The patterns have been revealing themselves. And now heaven is saying, enough. You've lingered at the edge long enough. You've tried to play neutral long enough. You've doubted your discernment long enough. This is your summons. This is your awakening. And it will not come softly. For what you're about to witness, only stillness can interpret. For what you're about to confront, only surrender can protect you. This moment is holy. This hour is costly. But your obedience will unlock vision. And your vision will unravel the lie they never wanted you to question. Type ISE clearly now in the comments if you receive this word. Lesson code 7744 is now unlocked. The air feels heavier now, doesn't it? The silence is no longer peaceful. It's loud. It hums with withheld truths. Conversations that once flowed now feel strained. People you trusted suddenly pull away. You sense it, but they never say it. There's something behind the smile. Something laced in their silence. Something hidden inside what they refuse to say. They told you not to ask, not to question, not to think too deeply. Don't stir the waters. Just accept what you're told. It's not your place to know. But your spirit rebelled. Not with arrogance, with awareness. You weren't being rebellious, you were being awakened. And now, that awakening is accelerating. Your mind begins tracing patterns. Memories you once believed now feel manipulated. Emotions you suppressed now rise without warning. The trauma you thought you healed resurfaces, not to torment you, but to expose what was buried beneath it. Because heaven is not just revealing what they did, heaven is revealing how you survived it without understanding it. This is the mystery. Your soul remembers what your mind was trained to forget. The distorted stories, the gaslighting, the writing of history in front of your very eyes. That's not what happened, they said, and you doubted yourself. You're too sensitive, they insisted, and you shrunk. Stop overthinking, they warned, and you stopped trusting your own spirit. But now something in you refuses to be silenced. Archangel Michael whispers, they know you know. That's why the air feels thick when you walk in the room. That's why they've become distant. That's why they're suddenly nervous around you. Because your very presence disrupts the lie. You don't even have to say anything. Your clarity alone is dangerous. You've seen something you were never supposed to see. You've asked what they hoped you'd never ask. You've remembered what they thought you forgot. There's an emotional weight to this moment, a sacred heaviness. Because when the veil begins to lift, so does the cost. The price of truth is often isolation. The price of discernment is often suspicion. The price of awakening is the loss of those who benefited from your confusion. But you must not retreat. You must not return to silence just because truth makes people uncomfortable. This path was never about comfort. It was always about calling. You were not wrong to question. You were not crazy for discerning. What you felt in your spirit, the unease, the suspicion, the check in your soul, it was real. It was God-breathed. And now that truth is rising, it cannot be buried again. This is where you must hold the question, not the fear. Let the discomfort come. Let the mystery unfold. Let the tears fall if they must. But do not run. This discomfort is not punishment. It's preparation. You are being emotionally rewired for clarity. You are being spiritually trained for confrontation. Not with fists, not with rage, but with truth that will not back down. Because when you hold the question long enough, heaven sends the answer. Your emotional disruption is not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. Every shaking moment is a sign that false foundations are crumbling. Every conflicted memory is a chance to reclaim your narrative. Every suspicious silence is a gateway to divine revelation. Michael is not just revealing the truth, he is restoring your sight. They hoped you would drown in confusion. But instead, you are surfacing in strength. If this message resonates with you and you feel moved to support, consider giving a super thanks with contributions of up to $10. Your kindness helps us bring more powerful content your way. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating through the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. Don't forget to subscribe for prophetic insight, spiritual warfare teachings, and divine revelation that meets you right where you are. Type "I am chosen" in the comments if this message speaks to your spirit. Blessing code 666 is now surrounding you. This was never about them. This was a divine test. Listen closely now, for this is where the enemy trembles. The conflict you're facing, the opposition, the resistance. It's not random. It was orchestrated, not by people, not by chance, but by heaven as a test, not to punish you, but to prepare you. What you thought was rejection was actually a revelation. What looked like betrayal was a spiritual examination. What felt like confusion was divine separation. This was never about them. It was always about you. You see, your sight is your weapon. What you discern is dangerous. What you perceive, without them ever saying a word, is enough to unravel the entire illusion. Your questions, they are not threats, they are keys. Every time you dared to ask what others feared to name, you unlocked something the enemy tried to keep sealed. And that's why the battle has intensified. You are under attack because your clarity threatens the light. You wondered why the warfare has gotten heavier, why the people around you seem to turn cold, why the favor in certain places seem to dry up. The answer is this. You've stepped into your divine function. You are no longer dancing in their deception. You are dismantling it with your discernment. And darkness hates a vessel who sees clearly. But here's what heaven wants you to know. God is not watching them. He's watching you. He is not measuring their words. He's weighing your response. He's not concerned with how they betrayed you. He's concerned with how you handle the betrayal. Because spiritual warfare isn't loud. It isn't always in the open. It's subtle, quiet, fought in your decisions, in your silence, in your restraint, in whether you pray when you want to lash out, in whether you bless when you want to curse, in whether you obey when confusion begs for answers. You were chosen not for applause, but for truth. You were set apart not to be liked, but to see. You were marked not for comfort, but for clarity. This is your assignment, to stand firm even when misunderstood, to hold the line even when others fold, to keep asking heaven for guidance, even when it feels like you're the only one left who cares about righteousness. You may be alone, but you are not abandoned. You may be misunderstood, but you are not misaligned. Heaven is closer than ever, and the test is always complete. Their control ends where your obedience to heaven begins. They don't get to write your story anymore. They don't get to gaslight your intuition. They don't get to hijack your discernment. That season is over. A manipulation. Exposed. A hidden agendas. Unraveling. The power they once had over you. Broken. Now heaven asks, will you still obey when it costs you community? Will you still obey when you can't explain why? Will you still obey when your vision isolates you? Because if you can say yes in the middle of the conflict, heaven will say yes to your next elevation. This was never about them. This was about your sight. You've passed through confusion. You've endured emotional chaos. And now, your obedience is becoming your authority. Type I see and I obey in the comments if this was for you. Blessing code 8181 is released upon your household. Within 3 days, masks will slip and truths will surface. The air is shifting. The spiritual pressure is building. There's a trembling in the unseen, like the wind just before the whirlwind, like the sky just before it splits. Archangel Michael speaks again, and his voice is no longer just a warning. It is a summons to awareness. You must be alert, he declares. For in 3 days, truth will erupt from silence. You are not imagining it. Something is approaching. The atmosphere itself feels pregnant with revelation. People around you have been acting strange, inconsistent, withdrawn, overly polite yet secretly avoidant. That is no coincidence. As a sign, the divine countdown has already begun, and masks, Yes, masks are about to slip. The ones who smiled but seethed. The ones who praised you publicly but cursed you in the quiet. The ones who acted confused when you pulled away, but knew exactly why. Their time is running out. And Michael urges you, do not react, do not panic. Simply observe. Because in the next 72 hours, there will be a divine unveiling. Someone is already preparing a counter-narrative to shift the blame, to distort your truth, to make you question what you know in your spirit. But do not be moved by their panic. It is the sound of a kingdom crumbling. When light begins to expose, darkness will always scramble. Heaven says, watch their tone, watch their energy, watch their access. Where once there was eagerness, there will now be hesitation. Where once there was flattery, there will be friction. You are no longer feeding what used to use you. That's why the change is unmistakable. You've taken your power back, and it has disrupted the entire ecosystem of deception. But here is your command. Do not make a move without Michael. Do not send the message. Do not defend yourself. Do not announce your suspicions. Heaven is orchestrating a divine exposure that needs no interference. If you speak too soon, you risk stepping into a trap. If you move too fast, you'll mistake sabotage for strategy. Michael is positioning the pieces. Heaven is rearranging relationships. What feels like disconnection is really divine disassembly. And what feels like rejection is actually redirection. This unveiling is not the final blow. This isn't Judgment Day. It's Announcement Day. Heaven is announcing what was done in darkness. Heaven is putting language to what your spirit already knew. Heaven is revealing what you were never supposed to question, because now you're too awake to ignore it. The pressure you feel, it's not punishment. It's pregnancy. Something is about to break forth. But birth requires focus. It requires labor. It requires protection. You cannot allow distractions dressed as opportunities to pull you off course. And yes, they will try. The enemy does not sit idle while exposure approaches. Expect subtle attacks. Expect well-crafted lies. Expect innocent questions that are really traps for your vulnerability. But remain sober. Remain alert. And most of all, remain silent until heaven says speak. This isn't just about your protection. This is about divine order. If you stay in position, heaven will bring the revelation directly to your feet. And you will not have to fight to be believed. The truth will fight for you. Michael says, let the unveiling speak for itself. Because this is the moment where heaven confirms what your spirit suspected all along. And when the masks drop, you will not be surprised. You'll be validated. So mark the hour. Pay attention to your atmosphere. And trust this, heaven is not late. Heaven is precise. And this unveiling, it is righteous. Type I will not be moved in the comments if you are holding the line. Blessing code 3003 is activated in your favor. Now we enter the realm of silence, not as retreat but as strategy. Archangel Michael doesn't just lead battles, he commands atmospheres. And right now, he is commanding you to be still. Not because you are weak, not because you are confused, but because stillness is spiritual warfare in disguise. Speak less. Watch more, he says. This isn't a season for confrontation. This is the season of observation. When the enemy knows you see, he will try to provoke you. But your greatest power now is your refusal to be pulled into chaos masquerading as clarity. Silence isn't passivity. Silence is preservation. You are being instructed to go quiet, not out of fear, but out of divine discipline. Heaven is speaking in frequencies too high for noise. If you allow distractions, you'll miss the frequency. If you chase every attack, you'll exhaust your oil. Michael says, let your stillness confuse the enemy. They expect your retaliation. They expect your anger. But you give them none of it. You give them heaven's strategy instead. A calm that rattles their nerves. A silence that exposes their guilt. A posture that says, I've already seen too much to react. Now is the time to wrap yourself in stillness. Stillness is your shield. Stillness is your yes. Stillness is your warfare. Every time you refuse to react, heaven moves deeper on your behalf. Every time you choose prayer over panic, heaven reinforces your position. You must pray for sight, not revenge. You must pray for revelation, not rage. The vengeance you seek will not heal you, but the truth that's coming will free you. Let heaven do what only heaven can. Your assignment is surrender. Declare it now. I see. I know. I surrender. That is not weakness. That is alignment. And when you are in alignment, no weapon can prosper. No slander can stick. No deception can hold. You are not meant to vindicate yourself, because heaven's justice is always louder than man's accusation. Wrap yourself in quiet. Wrap yourself in worship. Wrap yourself in the knowing that God has gone ahead of you. There are angelic forces now dispatched on your behalf, negotiating in realms you cannot see, settling accounts you didn't even know were open. This is not just a warning. It is a protection order. Your name is written in places your voice hasn't reached yet. Your vindication is being drafted by hands unseen. And your silence, it is speaking louder in the spirit than 1,000 explanations ever could. Michael whispers, you are surrounded by fire. Not fire that destroys, fire that guards. Fire that marks you as untouchable. Fire that creates distance between you and deception. Fire that reminds the enemy, this one is covered. So guard your spirit. Guard your energy. Guard your peace. Not everything deserves a response. Not everyone deserves an answer. The noise may rise, but your silence will reign. This is where heaven steps in. And when heaven steps in, every lie begins to unravel, every plan begins to fail, every attack begins to boomerang. You had obeyed. Now rest. You have seen. Now wait. You have discerned. Now watch. Stillness is not absence. Stillness is presence, divine presence. Let it surround you now. Type I choose stillness in the comments to activate the shield around your soul. Blessing code 9090 is now surrounding you. You are rising from the shadows, unseen but mighty. This is the divine turning, the spiritual pivot. What once stood against you is now beneath you. Archangel Michael steps forward, not with a sword this time, but with a decree. You are not who they remember, and that scares them. Heaven has flipped the script. The same people who dismissed you, overlooked you, and tried to diminish you, now feel something they cannot explain. It is not arrogance. It is not pride. It is the unmistakable fragrance of authority. You were hidden for a reason. Your silence wasn't invisibility, it was consecration. Your isolation wasn't abandonment, it was sanctification. Heaven was preserving you in a place of obscurity so your roots could grow deeper than the storm could reach. You didn't miss the season. You were prepared for the next one. And now, you're rising. Not loudly, not boastfully, but unmistakably. Heaven does not require permission from men to elevate those it has marked. You do not need their validation. You do not need their applause. You do not need their acceptance. Because your authority does not come from the crown, it comes from the covenant. And Michael says, now they must adjust to you. You've been forged in fire, refined in pressure. Your growth was never for their attention. It was for your assignment. The reason they no longer recognize you is because you are no longer operating from the same dimension. You have shifted. You have ascended. And the warfare that used to intimidate you now bows to your clarity. Where you once sought comfort, now you bring confrontation. Not in anger, not in force, but in quiet spiritual power. Your very presence destabilizes demonic atmospheres. Your discernment disarms manipulation. Your words carry weight because they are birthed from revelation, not reaction. This is your empowerment season. And not just personal empowerment, prophetic empowerment. Heaven has given you the authority to walk into rooms and disrupt entire dynamics without saying a word. What used to silence you now testifies through you. The trauma, the rejection, the abandonment, every ounce of pain has become a scroll in your hands, inscribed with power, drenched in divine oil. Michael says, stand tall. You are not being elevated to blend in. You are being crowned to stand out. This rising is not random. It is a response to your obedience in the shadows, a response to your unwavering faith, a response to your quiet yes. The spiritual promotion you're walking into is not just reward, it is responsibility. Because those who rise with heaven must walk with humility, clarity, and unwavering discernment. You are not who you were when this started. The shift has changed you, and the earth must now adjust. Let it shake. Let it squirm. Let those around you question the change. Their confusion is not your concern. Their suspicion is not your burden. What you carry is too heavy for small explanations, and what you've survived cannot be translated to those still stuck in illusion. Michael reminds you, you've gone from victim to vessel. Yes, they'll see. Not because you proved them wrong, but because you proved heaven right. You aligned when it hurt. You obeyed when it cost you. You surrendered when it was silent. That's why you're rising. That's why your oil is potent. That's why your words now pierce. Because you paid a price they will never understand. You are not arrogant. You are anointed. And this anointing is not just for you. It is for those watching. For those who felt they were too broken to be used. For those who gave up hope of ever being seen. Your rise is permission for others to believe again. Your strength is a signal that grace still chooses the unlikely. To walk boldly. Heaven backs you. Angels surround you. Authority covers you. Type I am rising in the comments if this speaks to your spirit. Blessing code 5500 is now released. Now hear this, and let it burn into your soul. Heaven never forgot your name. Even in the silence. Even in the confusion. Even in the season when you wondered if God had closed his ears to your cries. Michael stands before you now, radiant in authority, his voice echoing from the realm of the divine. Your name was whispered in heaven's halls. You were not overlooked. You were not forgotten. You were being processed. What felt like delay was divine development. What looked like punishment was preparation for power. The test didn't come to destroy you. It came to position you. And now, the veil is being lifted. The scroll is being unsealed. Revelation is being released. The pain you endured wasn't wasted. The heartbreak wasn't without reason. Every tear was a code. Every groan was a seed. Heaven doesn't waste suffering. It stores it. And when the time is right, it transforms the suffering into strategy. This is the time. Michael says blessings are not denied. They were delayed because you needed to be ready. You had to be strong enough to hold what heaven is giving. You had to be healed enough to discern between opportunity and distraction. You had to be anchored enough not to be swayed by praise or destroyed by criticism. You had to be mature enough to reign with grace and govern with wisdom. And now that you are, the heavens are opening over you. You are stepping into a season of revealed authority, not just the kind people talk about, but the kind that moves atmospheres. The kind that unsettles the enemy's plans before you even speak. The kind that makes people pause when you walk in, because they sense what you carry now. It's holy. It's weighty. It's real. Heaven needed your yes after the confusion, not before. Because it's one thing to say yes when it's clear. It's another to say yes when it's dark. And that kind of yes, that yes unlocks dimensions others never reach. That kind of yes is what qualifies you. You have been qualified not by title, not by connection, not by lineage, but by obedience. Your promotion was spiritual before it ever became visible. And now the earth must catch up to what heaven has already decreed. This is your moment of unlocking. The door that wouldn't budge before will now swing open at your arrival. The opportunity that passed you over will now circle back, because the timing is aligned. And heaven will not let what belongs to you be stolen or delayed a moment longer. Michael declares, this pain was the password. His surrender was the seal. Others buried what you now carry. Others ignored what you nurtured. But heaven saw. Heaven watched. Heaven weighed. And heaven chose you. And what is coming next? It won't just bless you. It will validate you. People will see and wonder, how did they rise from that? And the answer will echo from the spirit realm, God. So prepare. Not with panic, but with posture. Prepare your hands to receive. Prepare your spirit to steward. Prepare your heart to handle. Because what's being revealed will require both vision and vigilance. If this message resonates with you and you feel moved to support, consider giving a super thanks with contributions of up to $20. Your kindness helps us bring more powerful content your way. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating through the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. Be sure to subscribe for exclusive teachings, divine timings, and spiritual downloads crafted for your awakening journey. Type I receive the revelation in the comments. Lesson code 4477 has now opened divine portals over your life. Say yes with your posture, your words, your silence. Now that your sight has returned, now that the veil has been torn and the clarity has come rushing in like a tidal wave, heaven speaks again through the voice of Archangel Michael. Now walk. Not in circles, not in fear, not in hesitation, but in divine rhythm. The time of waiting is over. The season of questioning has completed its cycle. What was once hidden has been revealed. What was once denied is now being activated. And you, yes, you, are no longer just the observer of spiritual movements. You are now the vessel of divine momentum. You must understand this moment is not symbolic. It is strategic. Every action you take from here forward is either aligning with heaven or resisting it. There is no neutral ground in this season. To hesitate now is to hinder divine coordination. The Spirit is moving swiftly, aligning situations, redirecting paths, and breathing on every yes that comes from a pure place. Archangel Michael is no longer announcing what's coming. He is commanding what must be done. Say yes with your posture. Lift your head. Square your shoulders. Stand in the authority you've been granted. Heaven did not bring you through the fire just to hide you again. The flames that once tried to consume you are now your mantle. Every scar has become a symbol. Every wound is now a well of wisdom. You are not simply healed, you are commissioned. And your posture must testify to the power that flows through you. Say yes with your words. Let heaven hear it. Let the earth record it. Declare into the atmosphere, I rise with clarity. I move with heaven. Because your mouth is not just a tool, it's a weapon. Your declarations create divine coordinates. Your voice opens doors. And in this season, what you speak in alignment with the Spirit will shift not only your life, but the lives connected to your assignment. Say yes with your silence. Not every move needs an announcement. Not every revelation needs to be shared. Some yeses are quiet, but powerful. When you choose discipline over drama, stillness over showmanship, discernment over disclosure, you are walking in the highest form of spiritual wisdom. Let your silence carry authority. Let your quiet movement signal heaven's advance. This activation is not simply about stepping into blessing. It is about embodying obedience. Destiny is not something you stumble into. It is something you agree with. It is written, yes, but it must be walked out. Heaven aligns with action, not with comfort. And the call on your life is too great for hesitation, too urgent for procrastination, too heavy for distractions. You've been anointed to shake structures silently. You are a kingdom disruptor. Your presence will dismantle what's false. Your inset will challenge what's corrupt. And it won't always be loud, but it will always be effective. You were not sent to blend in. You were sent to bring the divine rhythm of heaven into territories that forgot what righteousness sounds like. Michael speaks again, fire in his tone. Now walk, for heaven cannot work with hesitation. This is your mandate. Walk with power. Walk with grace. Walk with the weight of every lesson, every tear, every confirmation. You are a living scroll, unrolling with each step. You are not wonder anymore. You are not waiting for direction. You are the direction. And those who once doubted you, those who tried to silence your awakening, they will now see the fruit of your hidden obedience. Not to prove them wrong, but to prove that heaven never misses. This is your time, your season, your divine permission slip. Type I walk with heaven in the comments to activate your movement. Blessing code 3344 is now igniting your path. While you slept, angels negotiated on your behalf. What you didn't see, heaven recorded. What you didn't understand, heaven resolved. What you feared was forgotten was actually in transaction. While you tossed and turned in nights of anxiety, while you wondered if justice would ever find you, while you prayed through tears you could not explain, something holy was happening behind the veil. Archangel Michael reveals now there was a silent exchange in the spirit, and it changed everything. While you slept, the courtroom of heaven was not quiet. Angels stood before the throne on your behalf, not with accusations, but with intercession. They brought your name before divine justice. They presented the evidence of your surrender, the timestamps of your tears, the details of your obedience when no one else saw. They negotiated not from weakness but from righteousness. What was taken in secret, your peace, your clarity, your time, your trust, is being restored, not randomly, not slowly, strategically. Heaven has rebalanced the scales. What felt stolen is now being transferred back, but not just returned and multiplied, because heaven never returns in the same measure. It returns with overflow, with interest, with recompense. Michael declares, heaven is transferring documents of justice back to you. That includes favor, opportunities, relationships aligned by spirit, not by need, resources sent by God, not by manipulation. The doors you once knocked on are now being opened from the inside. You don't need to chase, you need to receive. But to receive, you must believe it was happening even when you couldn't see it. Your tears were not wasted. They were timestamps on heavenly scrolls. Heaven doesn't forget pain offered in obedience. The night you cried and chose not to retaliate, that was recorded. The moment you were misjudged and decided to bless instead of curse. Women adorably. These are your receipts. These are your spiritual credentials. They prove you didn't manipulate. You trusted. And heaven never lets trust go unanswered. This silent exchange shifted the battle. That feeling you had, like something broke loose in the middle of your sleep. That wasn't imagination. That was divine release. The angelic realm moved on your behalf, snapping spiritual chains, reversing demonic assignments, and sealing promises once delayed. Michael affirms, the spiritual courtroom is now closed. Favor has been ruled. There are no more arguments, no more delays, no more appeals. What is coming cannot be revoked. Your alignment sealed it. Your surrender finalized it. You were never alone, just in divine waiting. Heaven hid you to protect you from what you didn't know was forming against you. The delay wasn't denial. It was divine defense. But now, the file has been stamped. The angelic release order has gone forth, and what was transferred in silence will manifest in suddenness. Don't chase. Don't beg. Don't compromise. What's yours will find you, because heaven already delivered it. Type I receive the divine exchange in the comments. Blessing code 2299 is now finalizing heaven's order on your behalf. They have been waiting. It has been ruled. And now, it shall be revealed. The trumpet has not sounded loudly, but the echo is already rumbling through the spirit realm. Justice is no longer pending. It has arrived. Archangel Michael steps forward with fire in his voice and finality in his tone, declaring, the scales are being reset. Reversal has begun. Everything they thought would stay buried now breaks into the light. Every action taken in the shadows now illuminated by the justice of heaven. And everything they thought would never catch up to them has caught up. Heaven is not blind. Heaven is not slow. Heaven is precise. For too long, you carried the weight of their wrongdoing in silence. You cried with no apology. You endured mistreatment without retaliation. You bore the cost of someone else's cowardice. And yet, you remained obedient. You didn't speak when you could have destroyed. You didn't retaliate when you had the power to respond. You chose the narrow path, the righteous path. And now heaven is responding for you. Michael whispers what your spirit had been longing to hear. You are not just being restored. You are being revenged in grace. This is not the kind of revenge the world knows. This is not fueled by anger or pride. This is righteous reversal. The kind that doesn't humiliate, but elevates. The kind that doesn't destroy people, it dismantles systems. God is not after revenge that makes you petty. He is after reversal that makes you whole. And when heaven steps in with justice, nothing remains untouched. Expect to see structures crumble, relationships break apart, connections once used to control you will dissolve. Their systems will malfunction. Their lies will tangle them. What they built to trap you will collapse under them. And it won't be because you fought them, it'll be because heaven fought for you. Michael declares, what silenced you will now echo as testimony. Yes, the story they tried to silence is about to be your stage. The testimony they mock will be your trumpet. You will speak with authority because you suffered with integrity. And your name, once tarnished by their manipulation, will now be vindicated by divine elevation. Do not gloat. Do not point fingers. Do not return to old wounds. Because you are not being lifted to prove them wrong. You are being lifted to prove God right. The ones who watched you fall will now witness you rise. And they will have no choice but to acknowledge that this was the hand of the Lord. Michael's sword is drawn, not against flesh, but against the spiritual principalities that use people to delay you, discourage you, distort your calling. Those forces are now being dismantled. What was demonically held up is being loosed. What was illegally taken in the spirit is being returned with increase. And where there was shame, now comes shining. Where there was betrayal, now comes blessing. Where there was silence, now comes a sound from heaven that shakes the very soil beneath your feet. This is recompense season, not just reward, not just recovery, but divine reversal. Justice will find you in unlikely places. Favor will come from unexpected hands. And doors that were once bolted shut will open without resistance. Not because you forced them open, but because God has judged in your favor. If you felt the pressure building, the stirring in your belly, the wind suddenly shifting, it's because the reversal has already begun. The shift is no longer coming. It's here. If this message resonates with you and you feel led to support, consider giving a super chat or super sticker. Contributions of up to $5 make a real difference. Your support helps us continue releasing prophetic words that change lives. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating through the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. Be sure to subscribe for divine updates, prophetic training, and spiritual content that empowers your journey. Type divine reversal in the comments to activate justice over your situation. Blessing code 6060 is now securing your turnaround. You are sealed, seen, and sent. No longer confused. Let it be in. Let it be sealed. Let it be known. You have crossed through the fire, and the ashes have not clung to you. You have walked through the shadow, but you were not consumed by it. You did not lose your mind. You did not lose your soul. You gained your clarity. And now, Archangel Michael stands with his wings surrounding your spirit, saying this one final decree. You are covered in full. Now rise. The questions that once tormented you are now transformed into confirmation. The silence that once confused you is now filled with revelation. And the darkness that once threatened you is now backing away at the speed of your light. The truth was never hidden from you. It was hidden for you, until you were ready. Until your character can carry the calling. Until your heart could handle the authority. And now, child of light, you are ready. Walk with boldness, not arrogance, but certainty. Walk with your eyes open and your spirit grounded. You are not chasing anymore. You are not doubting anymore. You are not waiting for someone else to affirm what heaven has already written. You are affirmed. You are commissioned. You are sealed. Let peace rest on your shoulders like a mantle. Let discernment sharpen your path like a lamp. Let truth ring from your soul like a war cry. You were not called to confusion. You were not born for silence. You were never meant to bow beneath dissection. You were born to rise. What you question, that was the beginning of your deliverance. The moment you stopped agreeing with the illusion, the chains broke. The instant you dared to ask, why does this feel wrong? The spirit realm took notice. At moment 3:33 a.m., it was not random. It was a divine appointment. The start of your unveiling. You were never supposed to question them, but you did. And heaven answered you. And now, you are no longer just a receiver of revelation. You are a carrier of it. Your life will now prophesy. Your walk will speak. Your eyes will see what others pretend to overlook. You are no longer bound to what held you. No longer small in places where you were once shrunk. The earth had been waiting for your emergence. To go. With strength. With silence. With sight. Go as one who has passed the test. Go as one who no longer doubts their discernment. Go as one who is backed by heaven and guarded by angels. You are the message. You are the proof. You are the testimony. Type I am sealed and send in the comments. Blessing code 7777 is now resting upon your house. May light guide you. May truth guard you. May purpose lead you. You are covered in full. Now rise. And do not look back.